Once upon a time, there lived a man who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most powerful and dangerous drug traffickers in history. His story is like something straight out of a movie, filled with drama, intrigue, and a whole lot of danger. From the bustling streets of Mexico to the corridors of power in Washington, his influence knew no bounds. His notoriety as a criminal prodigy was only matched by his ability to evade capture time and time again. But every empire has its downfall, and in his case, would be no exception. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Behind the Bars TV. Our today's case is all about the world-renowned criminal Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, who came into power as the leader of the Sinaloa cartel, one of the most powerful drug trafficking organizations in the world. His criminal empire extended across borders, smuggling massive quantities of drugs into the United States and beyond. As the world held its breath, the noose around El Chapo's empire tightened. Law enforcement agencies from across the globe joined forces in a relentless pursuit of justice. But would their efforts be enough to bring down the elusive drug lord once and for all? El Chapo's life is a roller coaster ride that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Brace yourself as we're about to explore his larger-than-life journey. Early life background: Joaquin El Chapo. Guzman's early life was marked by poverty and hardship, providing a stark contrast to the immense wealth and power he would later amass as a drug lord. Guzman was born on April 4, 1957 in La Tuna, Sinaloa, Mexico. He grew up in a poor family with limited resources, and his parents, Emilio Guzman Bustillos and Maria Consuelo Loera Perez, struggled to make ends meet. He has two younger sisters named Armida and Bernarda, and four younger brothers named Miguel Angel, Aureliano, Arturo, and Emilio. As per the source, he sold oranges as a child and dropped out of school in 3rd grade to work with his father, and as a result is functionally illiterate. With few opportunities for employment in his hometown, he turned to the cultivation of opium poppy, a common practice among residents. His father used to sell the harvest to other suppliers in Culiacan and Guamuchil. He had also sold marijuana at commercial centers near the area while accompanied by Guzman. His father spent most of the profits on liquor and women, and often returned home with no money. Tired of his behavior, Guzman cultivated his own marijuana plantation at age 15 with cousins Arturo, Alfredo, Carlos, and Hector Beltran Leyva, and he supported his family with his marijuana production. When he was a teenager, his father kicked him out of the house, and he went to live with his grandfather. It was during his adolescence that Guzman gained the nickname El Chapo, Mexican slang for shorty, for his 1.68-meter, 5 ft 6 in stature, and stocky physique. Afterward, Guzman left his hometown in search of greater opportunities through his uncle Pedro Aviles Perez, one of the pioneers of Mexican drug trafficking. Criminal background. From a young age, Guzman was exposed to the harsh realities of life in rural Mexico, where economic opportunities were scarce and many turned to illicit activities, including drug trafficking, as a means of survival. As a teenager, Guzman became involved in the drug trade, worked for local traffickers, and learned the ins and outs of the business. Guzman's early experiences in the drug trade laid the foundation for his future criminal career. He quickly rose through the ranks, demonstrating a shrewd business acumen and a ruthless willingness to use violence to achieve his goals. Guzman began working with Hector Luis Palma Salazar by the late 1970s, one of the nation's rising drug lords. He helped Salazar map routes to move drugs through Sinaloa and into the United States. By the early 80s, he was working for Felix El Padrino, the godfather Gallardo, the leading drug baron in Mexico at the time and head of the Guadalajara cartel. Guzman was put in charge of logistics, tasked with coordinating drug shipments from Colombia to Mexico. When Gallardo was arrested in 1989 for the murder of a DEA agent, the territories controlled by the Guadalajara cartel were divided up, allowing Guzman and a few others to form the Sinaloa cartel. Guzman was now firmly on the radar of the U.S. authorities and considered one of Mexico's most powerful drug traffickers. Over the coming years, Guzman took advantage of crackdowns on Colombian cartels to grow his own market share. Soon his empire was shifting multi-ton cocaine shipments from Colombia up to the United States via multiple transportation channels. Part of his success was his creativity in these transportation areas. Examples included the smuggling of cocaine powder inside fire extinguishers and cans labeled chili peppers. His cartel was also involved in the production and distribution of methamphetamine, heroin, ecstasy, and marijuana. It wasn't long before the Sinaloa cartel had operations on 5 continents and nearly 50 countries, making it the most powerful drug trafficking organization in the world. The authorities finally caught up to Guzman in Guatemala on 9 June 1993. He was extradited to Mexico and sentenced to 20 years in a maximum security prison on drug and murder charges. Capture and trial. Guzman was first captured in 1993 in Guatemala and then was extradited and sentenced to 20 years in prison in Mexico for murder and drug trafficking. Although behind bars, the powerful influence of El Chapo didn't abate as he bribed guards to maintain his opulent lifestyle, have conjugal visits, and even arrange business meetings allowing him to continue operating his ever-growing drug empire. He then escaped from a federal maximum security prison in 2001. The escape allegedly cost the drug lord over $2.5 million. Over 70 guards were implicated, including the warden, who is now in prison for the part he played. His status as a fugitive resulted in an $8.8 million combined reward from Mexico and the U.S. for information leading to his capture. By the time of his next arrest in 2014, El Chapo had become a billionaire. In 2009, Forbes controversially announced him as number 701 on their list of the world's richest people. This placed his net wealth at a staggering $1 billion that matched the influence and wealth of Pablo Escobar. He imported more drugs into the U.S. after getting arrested in Mexico in 2014. He escaped prior to formal sentencing in 2015 through a tunnel dug by associates into his jail cell. Mexican authorities recaptured him following a shootout in January 2016 and extradited him to the U.S. a year later, where he pleaded not guilty to all counts against him in Brooklyn, New York. During the trial, witnesses provided testimony detailing Guzman's ruthless tactics, including acts of violence, corruption, and intimidation used to maintain control over his criminal empire. In total, 56 witnesses testified for the prosecution, including cartel members and federal agents. At least 14 of them were Guzman's close associates. His defense asserted that he was not the organized crime leader that the prosecution claimed. The trial, often characterized as a trial of the century, began on November 5, 2018, and lasted until February 12, 2019, when the jury returned a verdict of guilty on all counts. The first count on which Guzman was convicted, operating a continuing criminal enterprise, included 27 separate violations and was the most significant charge in the indictment, as it carries a mandatory sentence of life imprisonment. The jury found Guzman guilty of 25 of the 27 listed predicate offenses that formed the basis of the continuing criminal enterprise charge. On July 17, 2019, Judge Kogan sentenced Guzman to a term of life plus 30 years and ordered that Guzman forfeit property worth more than $12.6 billion. Guzman arrived at ADX Florence, a supermax prison in Colorado, via helicopter on July 19, 2019. It is expected he will complete his sentence there. Conclusion. In the end, the El Chapo case serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder that no one is above the law, no matter how powerful or elusive they may seem. As we reflect on this momentous conclusion, let us recommit ourselves to the pursuit of justice and the fight against those who seek to harm our communities. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the riveting case of El Chapo. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more exclusive insights and revelations in the riveting world of true crime. Until next time, stay informed and stay curious.